On a reasonably good road, cars are supposed to drive smoothly. However, it's likely that you have occasionally felt vibrations in the steering wheel, and that's totally normal. Death wobble is another concern if you drive a lifted truck or Jeep, which takes shaking to another level. Since the steering wheel serves as both your primary and secondary point of contact with the vehicle and the road, it makes sense that the first sign of a problem or an imbalance would be felt via the steering wheel. These are the most frequent reasons for vibration and shaking in the steering wheel. But just before we start, please make sure you've subscribed to the channel. Tires. The most logical choice is this one. Since the steering wheel is used to steer the wheels, tire issues should naturally manifest themselves through the wheel. Here, tires that are out of balance are the most obvious offenders. You won't experience any tremors when driving at slower speeds, but as you accelerate, they will become increasingly apparent. Look for flat spots on the tires, especially on cars that haven't been driven in a while, as this problem typically leads to uneven tire wear. Verify the correct air pressure in each of the 4 tires. The steering wheel may tremble if a tire is deflated. Check the tire wear last. Rotate the tires to distribute the wear if you see that one side is more worn down than the other. You will require new tires if the tread is sufficiently worn down or if tire rotation is not an option. Axle. Look into axle problems if your car was in an accident recently and you've only recently noticed vibrations. It's highly likely that one of the axles was bent or damaged. Even at slower speeds, there will be shakes. They will intensify as the speed increases. The steering wheel may suddenly jerk at random when there is a broken drive shaft. On its own, the steering wheel will suddenly jerk left or right. This raises an alarm right away. Get the car fixed right away by taking it to a mechanic rather than driving it there. Brakes. The brakes are the most important component when it comes to safety. Even though a blown engine might prevent you from operating the vehicle, failing brakes make stopping the car impossible and far more dangerous. Usually, when there is a problem with the brakes, you will only notice vibrations in the steering wheel when braking. At high speeds, though, a stuck brake caliper will definitely shake the steering wheel. Wheel areas. The wheels should be your next point of contact if the tires aren't the problem. After all, they are the focal point of every tire. Begin with a physical examination, making sure to check the wheel bearings and closely inspect the wheels and rims for any damage. They should theoretically last you a lifetime, but that's just theory. They may eventually wear out or even sustain damage in the real world. Steering wheel sway or wobble should be resolved by replacing them. Ball joints and tie rod ends are simple to diagnose. The tie rod ends are probably the cause of the steering wheel shaking exclusively during turns and never during straight driving. When the ball joints malfunction, the outcomes are opposite. They will never tremble when navigating a turn, only when driving straight. Engine. Despite the fact that this one might not seem obvious at first, giving it some thought provides valuable perspective. When an engine malfunctions, the entire car may shake, but the steering wheel will typically alert you to the problem before it gets worse. There may be a noticeable vibration coming from the engine compartment if there are issues with air induction, fuel delivery, or spark-related problems that prevent the car from operating smoothly. Although rare, this symptom can occur, so be cautious. The steering wheel may also vibrate occasionally due to a broken engine mount, particularly when accelerating. Conclusion. Vibrations in the steering wheel at high speeds can be both annoying and dangerous. These vibrations frequently indicate deeper problems that require attention at their earliest stage. Tire, axle, and brake problems, wheel and rim damage, and even engine problems are the most frequent culprits. Crucial steps in identifying and resolving steering wheel vibrations include checking the integrity of wheel components, balancing your tires properly, looking for damage after an accident, making sure your brakes are working properly, and taking care of any engine issues. Dealing with these problems as soon as possible will protect the longevity and safety of your car in addition to improving your driving experience. Seeking advice from a qualified mechanic is advised if you notice recurring vibrations in your car in order to avoid more harm and preserve peak performance.